Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is if you have your sun in Sagittarius and Capricorn rising. What an interesting combination. These are adjacent signs, and there is the sun in fire, mutable fire, and the rising sign ruled by Saturn and Earth energy. And of course, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So if you think of those two planets and what they represent, Jupiter versus Saturn, it's like night and day because Jupiter is this planet that in Vedic astrology is considered a benefic planet, kind of like Santa Claus, providing all these blessings in life. And this is in the form of expansion. People who are sun in Sagittarius, I am a sun in Sagittarius myself, uh, we enjoy growth, and the self growth can come in the form of higher learning through academia, but also the ninth house that Sag represents, and therefore Jupiter, is about philosophy and God. And so it's really about expanding consciousness beyond just, the intellect into kind of like, why are we here? And even geographically, the ninth house and Sag and Jupiter represent travel, long distances. So contrast that with Saturn, which is about paring down, economizing, making paring. I said, did I say paring down? Because, yeah, like making things, taking out excess. Sometimes Jupiter can be about excess. So these two uh, planets are they're almost like diametrically opposed because Jupiter can be excessive and Saturn can be very disciplined and streamlining things constantly. So how does that, manifest in a single person who has both of these going on? Well, the rising sign is going to be your demeanor, and that means the face you show the world. And when I was this was years ago, when I was younger, I remember when I was first getting into astrology, I checked a book out of the library about the rising sign. It was just about the rising sign. And it had some title like The Rising Sign, Your Social Mask, or something like that. And I didn't like that because I said, well, does that mean that we're all phony and we all have this fake persona? Because Sagittarians want to be real. We love honesty. We love authenticity. So that did not appeal to me, that title. And for many years, the rising sign has been a bugaboo for me because I was trying to really figure out beyond the appearance, beyond how it affects appearance, what does it what is the influence of the rising sign? And what I have come to decide, and this is through reading uh, different statements by other astrologers, is that the rising sign is something that is highly influential under the age of 30. And so I have decided that the first Saturn return is the turning point where we become more like the sun sign. Now, I don't know if other astrologers would agree with me about that, but I'm thinking about my own life. When I come up with these things, it's not just randomly. I'm, observing or reflecting upon my own experiences, and that's what happened with me. So I also feel that when the sun sign and the rising sign are not really harmonious, in other words, they're not really on the same page, that the relationship with the family of origin may have been strained or otherwise uh, not in alignment, and therefore the rising sign becomes the adaptation to fit into that system, and that it eventually has to be discarded because it is rather false. And so in this case, I would go along with that. Because of the differences of these two signs, I would say that the Sagittarian who is Capricorn rising, likely grew up in a family where, I mean, there's different possibilities. First of all, your ruler is Saturn because that's the ruler of your rising sign. So that suggests that in some way you may have had to take care of yourself from a young age. Now, in some cases, this could be somebody who comes from a prominent family and maybe they are raised by a nanny or not the parent, and they feel this sense of coldness in that family system because they feel like their parents don't care, and that might be untrue. It just may be that their parents are very absorbed in their professional life or their social climbing or whatever, and it's not actually that they don't care, but the child perceives it that way because they're not being cared by them. But in some cases, there might be a lot of maybe neglect or just coldness, and the child has to rely on themselves. So for somebody like Sag, this can be problematic and maybe even traumatic because no, let me edit that because I'm just doing this off the top of my head. So sometimes I'm thinking out loud. In some cases, it could be traumatic. Look at the moon sign for the emotional needs. If the moon is in water, this could be traumatic on an emotional level where you feel that you're growing up in this cold environment and you're not being loved, and that is really important for you. um, I think some Sages, they can really be resourceful. Capricorn is a resourceful sign, and that's a good thing, believe me, in life. um, I remember reading somewhere them saying that children that grow up without parents who are there to push them can actually become very successful because they don't have that interference. Because think about it. And then they were like, comparing it to parents who are really bearing down on their kids and they want their children to be high achievers. That can actually be much more destructive because the child can rebel against that. They can feel like they're performing seals, that they're just there to make the parents look good. So sometimes having to fend for yourself can give you resourcefulness at an early age that can propel you to success because you know that you have to rely on yourself and you're not overly dependent on adults to make things happen. When people take it upon themselves to do things, they're proactive. And actually, Capricorn is a cardinal sign, and it is the cardinal signs are the doers of the zodiac, meaning that they take the initiative. So Capricorn, Cancer, Libra, and Aries. That doesn't mean that other signs don't take action, but they're not as um, easily motivated to do so. or naturally motivated, I should say. So, anyway, the idea that you have to do things for yourself can be um, can make you very ambitious from a young age, because you have to, you're sometimes it could be as simple as being in survival mode, and then it becomes such a force of habit that you just do it all the time, and you really go after what you want. But the symbol of Capricorn is the mountain goat, and if you think about a mountain, the symbolism is you're climbing upward and onward. And so you're always reaching further up. And that is how Capricorn is. It aspires to be higher than it was yesterday. That's what ambition is, really, if you think about it. I mean, there's other aspects of ambition. That's when it gets tainted by the ego. But there's nothing wrong with somebody who wants to better themselves, for instance. The problem is when they think that they are better than other people. That's when the ego comes in and they compare themselves to other people, and they look down on people for not being as high up on, socioeconomically or whatever, and they're looking down on others. But just the desire to better yourself is admirable. So, coupled with this expansive sun sign, Sagittarius, this could actually be a combination that is very successful. The I think the key is to see how the past influences the person's intentions and their basic outlook on life. If someone and that's why I would look at the Mercury sign and the Moon sign for more information on that, even Mars, to see what kind of drive the person has. Because, for instance, if a person is a Sag and they have the Moon in Pisces, and they have had this, and maybe let's say they have, oh, did I say the Moon in Pisces? I meant Mars in Pisces, but let's say they have the Moon in water as well. The person may grumble that they never had the support that they needed, and they can use that to justify not um, going for their dreams. They can blame others, and there's a weakness in blame, because first of all, it doesn't solve anything, but it also absolves that person of any responsibility over their own life. So that could be a trap that somebody with this combination gets into if they have these other elements. And so sometimes people, they feel sorry for themselves because they feel like they came from a very humble background, and they didn't get the kind of school system they deserved or the support in the home, and that's why they can't do this or they can't do that. Other people will use that as fodder for their goals, and they can really make things happen because they are very, very determined to do so. What else can I say about this combination? Well, let me talk about what what you can, the type of work that might really suit you. This combination can be great for anybody with spiritual aspirations, because Capricorn provides the discipline, the backbone. I always think of the rising sign, because it's the backbone of the natal chart, as discipline in the person at a fundamental level. And so, what that can do is make it so that you are very determined to realize your spiritual aspirations. And this could involve it professionally. You might be someone who is interested in teaching yoga. Capricorn is all about the um, skeletal system, all kinds of architecture, and the body's architecture is a skeletal system. And you might be, there's more to knowing what kind of things. The rising sign isn't really, I wouldn't call that influential in the, deciding what kind of career you're into. More like the sun sign, and definitely the sun sign can favor of Sagittarius can favor all things spiritual. Um, Definitely, if you are somebody who is into academia, you would be a natural professor, and your rising sign would certainly support that because um, you might see that as a very prominent type of career move. Perhaps some kind of an author with Sag, or even a scholar, talking about like writing books on various scholarly research and things like that. In terms of your love life, Sag is very independent, and I feel that even Capricorn is a sign that is very much associated with the family, but also um, Capricorn, Saturn rules the 10th house of career. So the person can be quite the workaholic, and they might even marry late. Saturn is about delays, so you never know. Um, if you, as a Sag, have Venus in Capricorn, you may be somebody who is looking for a partner who can give you that leg up socially, or status wise. And I don't mean just like a straight up gold digger. I mean that you're not just full, romantic. You're looking for somebody who has that kind of established life already. You're not, you might be attracted to somebody older than you. You're definitely not somebody who is, I'm talking about specifically Venus and Capricorn. You're not necessarily interested in starting from scratch with a partner. You might prefer somebody who's older and already established. But I'm saying with this combination, that could definitely increase that likelihood. Maybe for everybody, regardless. But I feel that you are a more serious Sagittarius. As a matter of fact, because of the demeanor of the rising sign, this can give a Sag who dresses more in business attire. Even at home, you may not like to wear sweatpants. Sages um, tend to be kind of casual, and even female Sages, we have that tomboyish quality because Sag is a masculine sign, and so we may just like to wear sweats and just kind of sweatshirts and all that kind of thing, but gym shoes. But somebody with Capricorn rising, you might wear more tailored outfits. Even when you're like relaxing, you might wear very button down clothing. I'm the kind of person that, if my rising sign is Taurus, and when I was younger, I was wearing mini skirts and tight blouses. Now, my Taurus influence is pure comfort. With the Sag influence, anything that's like pullover tops, but I always associate more formal clothing with wearing shirts with buttons on it. Which, by the way, I just remembered are called blouses. I mean, at least for women. And, thinking back, I used to wear a lot more blouses, and I just don't these days. Maybe they were more in fashion in the past. But anyway, you may be more formal in your dress, regardless of whether you're relaxing or at work. And I always say that I love the Capricorn rising type of dress because it tends to be clean lines and it tends to be the like chic, as a woman, that kind of professional look that's also kind of fashionable at the same time. And I feel like it's very pulled together, the women who have this look. But and men, it would be very dapper. So you may have high cheekbones because Capricorn rising, Marlene Dietrich, she was that early movie star, German, with those high cheekbones. And David Bowie had high cheekbones. His rising, he was a sun in Capricorn, not a rising sign, but I think, it can reflect your sun sign as well. So the the thing is, it could be kind of false advertising because you may behave in social situations like that Capricorn energy, may be kind of introverted and um, in some cases a little bit shy, but definitely muted, not that fiery energy. And yet you come alive when you're in a small group or with people that you know. So a person's first impression of you might not be their last, in other words. Okay, that's what I have for you, and I hope that this resonated. Oh, one thing is that they say that Capricorn gets younger as they get older. So, and given the fact that your rising sign may lose its influence as you get older as well, I think that 30 and beyond, you start to loosen up more. That's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a personal reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.